UVA men's lacrosse player Connor Shellenberger has quickly turned into one of the best players in all of college lacrosse. His run as one of college lacrosse's best players began with a dream to play at UVA.
I grew up in Charlottesville, so ever since I was probably 9 or 10, I was going to Clockner watching the games. And I just remember, especially when I was younger, some of the big crowds. And, I loved Steel Stanwick at the time. So kind of that nostalgia from my childhood was a big factor into wanting to go to UVA.
Coming out of St. Anne's Belfield, Shellenberger was the number one ranked player in the nation and had a ton of hype going into college.
I had heard about how good he was going to be and how good he already was before he even made it up to the high school. And so there was a lot of anticipation, I think, just like when he got to UVA. But I think that's one of the most impressive things about Connor is despite all of the hype, he's always more than lived up to the hype. And that was certainly true here at St. Anne's.
The more I went along in practices and into the fall, I realized that, my teammates didn't really care that I was ranked number one or, where really anybody was ranked. It was more just, how do you fit into the culture that we have? What can you do for the team now? So I think I was just adding all this pressure on myself that first fall, and it was just unnecessary.
Even with the hype, Shellenberger has been as good as advertised. In his first 3 years at UVA, he has already been a first-team All-American twice and was a Thornton Award finalist this past season, which awards the best player in all of college lacrosse.
I think his ability to dissect his game, to grow his game, to make strides in areas of weakness, which means having the confidence to be able to look at your weaknesses, and I think he's always been able to do that. And when you see him out here practicing, he's not just going through the motions, he's really trying to perfect a specific skill and is a real tactician of the game as well. Just so competitive in everything he does, expects to be the best, expects to set a really high bar for himself and then exceed that bar. And I think whether you're probably playing pickup basketball or ping pong or darts or lacrosse, he's got a competitive streak in him that just wants to win.
My teammates, they make it really easy to play on, just the guys that we have on our offense in particular, and even on our defense that push us in practice. It's hard not to get better going against those guys. And some of the plays that our offense makes are pretty ridiculous. And then I have to give a lot of credit to Coach Kerwin. I really don't know if there's been anyone more impactful in my lacrosse career in these past 3 years than he has been. Just the way that he sees the game and our connection and relationship, it's been pretty special.
Despite being the number one ranked player in the country coming out of high school, Shellenberger redshirted in his first year at UVA.
Just sitting back and being able to learn from all those guys was, super beneficial. And I wish I had, the next 2 or 3 months that we could have had that COVID took away. But even just those 2 or 3 months that we got were super impactful for me.
In his redshirt freshman year, Shellenberger led the team in points and played a pivotal role in helping the Cavaliers win both the ACC and national championship.
I don't think it hit me for a while after we won it. And, even just on the field afterwards, looking up and realizing something that we had all worked so hard for had become a reality. And I think when thinking about that team, something that stood out was just the leadership that we had and kind of heart that the whole team had. Guys like John Fox, Doc Aiken came back, Jared Connors, just, literally willing all of us to the championship. And, they kind of set the example every day in practice of what it takes to win a championship because they had done it the year before.
In his sophomore year, Shellenberger once again led the team in points despite an up-and-down season for the Cavaliers.
When you do go to UVA and you had success that we had the 2 years prior, I think the goal is to always win a national championship. And, you always feel like you have the talent and the preparation and the coaching staff to do so. So I think going into this past year, we definitely thought, we can make a deep run. And I don't know if that belief ever wavered until, the final whistle hit against Maryland. I think of some of the highs, obviously winning the ACC, going to Brown and playing that hostile environment, probably one of the coolest environments any of us have ever played in, just how loud it was. And our fans showed up, their fans were insane. And winning that game was pretty cool. And then some of the lows, like our 3 or 4 losses were all by pretty significant margins. And, you think back to the Duke game, getting blown out there and, losing to Richmond for the first time in however many years. So, you kind of have to bottle those up and use those as fuel for next year.
Going into next season, Shellenberger has lofty goals for the remainder of his time in Charlottesville.
I think the biggest goal, just from sitting back and not being part of championship weekend, and particularly watching Maryland win the championship, is the easiest goal to say, but just win another national championship. And I guess all you can kind of focus on is next year, but hopefully we'll do the same the following year. It's been tough watching the Final Four weekend and the championship and not being a part of it.
He's shown that there is no mountain too big to climb. I know for Connor that is the fruits of his labor, that winning championships and being the best he can for his team and helping his team win has always been the most important thing for him. And I think the accolades come just from the hard work and obvious talent.